Instagram world, and what's up everybody down here in Facebook land. It's yours truly, comedian Mike Marino, bringing it to you live in the basement, live from my mother's basement. We got a crazy, different style show that we're going to do tonight. I've never done anything like this before in my career as a comedian and or talk show host. I'm rolling the dice. I'm bringing somebody on the show. I have absolutely no idea what the hell's going to happen. But I will say this, for the first time in 200 episodes, this young lady decided she's going to tell me what's what on this show. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun as we bring attention to Debbie Leoni. This is Debbie Leoni. Nice Italian name.
Yeah, and you're going to listen, Mike. You're going to listen.
Boom.
And you're going to learn.
Nothing like a woman coming on my talk show telling me that I'm going to listen. This is going to be a lot of fun. Before we get started, I will tell you that Debbie, and I like to say the word doctor because I thought it was doctor.
Psychotherapist.
She's a psychotherapist. A psychotherapist, well-trained, well-known, on a talk show in a basement in the middle of New Jersey. This is the shit.
It's like the Twilight Zone.
Oh, this is definitely going to be the Twilight Zone. Yep. In fact, but let's have some fun. We got a lot of shit that we want to talk about, and we got a lot of stuff that we're going to say where we're going to be together in this month, and you people can come and see that as well, especially where I'm going to be touring, and I guess where she's going to be touring as well, and how you can get in touch with Debbie if you need some therapy.
Which you do need therapy.
Everybody needs therapy, and after this show, we're all going to need therapy. So listen, everybody, as you know, I went to Dubai.
I hear you went to Dubai.
I went to Dubai, and I'm back. I think we did one show after Dubai, did the show, and now I just went to NJPAC, which is a theater in Newark, New Jersey.
Newark.
We're going to start off with what went down on that particular night because, ladies and gentlemen, we're still in COVID. Whether anybody thinks it's over or not, we're still in COVID. So I'll tell you this, and then you could give a nice analyzation on this shit because it's nasty.
It is nasty. It's very nasty.
There's a beautiful theater in Newark, New Jersey. They call it the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, NJPAC. It's probably one of, if not the most famous theater in the state of New Jersey. However, it might not be the oldest, but there's two rooms in this theater. One seats 3,000 and one seats 500. I perform in the one that seats 500. About a year ago, we sold out 2 shows. A year before that, my first performance there, we sold out 2 shows. This show, this past Saturday night, we were only allowed to sell 150 tickets.
Oh!
Now, 150 tickets, you would think would be pretty easy to sell.
Not with COVID.
Not with COVID. Because just a few days before the show, I called the theater myself, and I said I need to get some complimentary tickets for my sponsors, which is the way we do this. I get sponsored, they get tickets, we talk about the sponsor, and everybody's happy with advertising. Unfortunately, when I called, they said, well, here's your tickets, but make sure they prove that they were vaccinated or that they have proof they had a COVID test within the last 72 hours. And I'm like, how
do you make
am I going to make that happen?
How does one make that happen?
Yeah, because then I have to call these people and say, hey, have you been vaccinated? And if you haven't, can you hurry up and go get a COVID test?
No.
And everybody said no.
Figure out where to go, how long it's going to take, what kind of test they're going to do.
So unfortunately, yeah, we got to 150 people at the last minute, but I'm known for selling tickets in the last couple of hours. People just show up. They're like, oh, it's Saturday, the show's at 8, at 6, let's get dressed and go.
Life has changed.
You can't do that.
Life has changed.
So we got to 150 seats, but my friends didn't want to do it. There's a lot of people who don't want to get vaccinated. And, you know, that's against what they believe, or don't even want to be told that they have to be vaccinated. They don't want to hear that. I've been fully vaccinated because they said, if you want to travel, you got to be fully vaccinated. It's not true. Because the last 2 flights I got on, they didn't ask for the vaccination card. They asked for a COVID test.
But you were told you had to be, and therefore that's why you got vaccinated.
Mainly, I got vaccinated
Okay.
because I wanted to be able to get on the plane,
You
like
kinda
having
had
a
to.
passport.
Right. You didn't think to yourself, oh, gee, you really think I should have this shot?
You have a very, very fainty voice there, baby doll. So we're gonna put this
Okay.
like right there, but you gotta talk nice and loud, robust.
Okay.
Either that or lean in. Yes, and it really sucks because on the way to Dubai, I got my COVID test 72 hours in advance, and when I got to the window, they said, no, this is not 72, it's 78. You can't get on the plane. Then I had to go to this place at the airport, pay $220 to get another COVID test. It was ready in an hour, and then they said, okay, get on the plane. Then you get on the plane, and everybody's got a mask on until they serve food. Then 1,000 people take off their mask, eat the food, put the mask
And
back
that's
on.
okay.
Because the COVID can't affect you while you're eating.
No, you didn't know that?
When you're eating, you're safe.
Yeah.
That's why everybody's fat.
Yeah.
We don't want to get COVID, so you just keep on eating.
I'm going to assume you really could have used therapy in that moment with all you had been through during that trip and just taking it all in. You probably wish you had someone like me sitting next to you saying, breathe, breathe.
Well, I don't really know if that would have worked on somebody like me. I probably would have been very angry. I was angry.
You would have punched me.
Why would anybody want to breathe at that? I had to go from a terminal, get on a train, and go to another terminal. That's petrifying alone, because if you miss the next terminal, you're in Flushing,
Oh,
Queens.
God.
So,
I'd
and then
probably just give you a Xanax. That would help.
I got to be honest with you. You know, I wanted to smoke a joint, but if you get caught smoking weed when you get to Dubai, you go to jail. All right, you got your Xanax, I got
don't
weed
want that.
sticks.
Okay.
In another 10 minutes, this
Xanax are
conversation's
smaller,
going.
so
This
they're
is so
easier
much
to get
better
around.
than any kind of medication. We could have this argument in a little bit.
Yeah, we won't.
But that's what happened with the NJ pack, and it's really, really sad. However, they're saying that's the last show.
Okay.
Now they're going to put on shows at full capacity, and people can go in there. So
Well, let's hope.
go to the
Keep our
NJ pack,
fingers
folks.
crossed.
Go to all the theaters. Go to
Yeah.
all the clubs. Start partying. Get in the game. Screw this
We
shit.
want to get you back out there like you used to be. We want to get you back to your norm. You want to be back at your norm. This is not working for you. The whole COVID thing is not working for Mike Marino.
I don't think it worked for anybody. But that's what was going on with that. And then today, of course, in the news again, to encourage people to get a shot, they give you free things. Did you see this?
I did not.
You can get free stuff. So if you go to a certain place for a COVID vaccine, they'll give you a joint.
Oh, okay. I'm very upset here because I got my COVID shot so that I could be on your show. I got my. No one
Well, I'll give
handed
you some
me
weed.
anything free.
Here you go. Here's
I
some
don't need
marijuana.
it.
Smoke it right now.
Get
This
that
is better
anytime
than a
I want.
Xanax.
I'm talking about other. Come on. I didn't get anything. They didn't give me. I went into the Rite Aid. They did the shot. They said, "See ya." That was it. No free
The
food.
Rite Aid doesn't
nothing.
give out anything free.
Nothing.
You go to CVS and they give you some donuts. There's a lot of different places. They're giving away free Yankee tickets if you get vaccinated, marijuana,
I got
a T-shirt, a beer. You can go to get. You can get a beer if you get a shot. I forgot where it was. I'm telling the truth. You can get a beer.
I went to the wrong place to get my shot to be on your show, Mike. Right? I did it for your show. I could have gotten something out of it, but
Well,
that's
thank you very
okay.
much.
Okay.
She's letting everybody know she's fully vaccinated. To
I
come
am.
on my show, you have to be either fully vaccinated or have a COVID test within 5 days of coming down the basement, because I don't want anybody getting sick on my show, and I don't want to get sued. Plus, we have food that comes somehow miraculously.
I know. I've
Just
seen your
pops
show,
in somehow.
and somehow I see all this Italian food coming in during the middle of the show. I can't wait to see that.
Well, it might happen. You never
is
know.
it going to happen today?
I don't know. You know, just Johnny Salami. He's a
I
mystery.
need to- Johnny who?
Johnny Salami from
I hope
Hero
that's not his
Kings.
real last name.
Yeah, well, it's a mystery. And we will never
'Cause I-
unreveal the mystery. Let me see
As
who's.
a therapist, I have to wonder what his childhood was like, and having to sit in class with the last name Salami. What would that
Let
be?
me fix this screen. But
Okay.
speaking of therapists and questions, it seemed like you just said very quickly, I need to investigate why his last name would be Salami and what made that happen. When did you go to school or train or think, I want to be a therapist?
Good question. Okay. So my background is in the arts. I studied painting, music, film. Just didn't feel like I was making a great living, and I loved psychology. So I decided to go back to get my master's. And what I found is that psychology and the arts are completely intertwined. Completely. Your favorite films, your musicians, you can have a field day assessing them and diagnosing them. And I do it all the time. I'm a huge mob movie fan. I know every word to Scarface, Goodfellas, but I can sit down and I can analyze and diagnose these people. Take Sopranos. Just about everybody in Sopranos has a clinical diagnosis. You name the person, I'm going to tell you what they have. Livia, the mom, borderline personality disorder, narcissistic, terrible. And I won't try to figure out what you are, Mike. I promise we are not going to go there. But
I'm sure you're already setting what I am.
I'm not going to do
But
it.
let me ask you a question. You're giving a synopsis or an evaluation on fictitious characters?
They're not necessarily fictitious because the writer did their research and decided, I want to create this person that has borderline because this did not happen to them when they were young. So for me, it's quite real. It's a real person out there that has the same.
Okay, so there's people in the world, of course, for real, who have these problems.
Absolutely.
But you say you're analyzing characters on a TV show.
That's just my, I take my work very seriously, but growing up, I was very close to my father, and I spent most of my time on the couch with him watching our mafia films. It was a big part of our life. And so I just kind of brought that in with me into my career. And I think my hobby is watching my mob films and diagnosing. Now, what do I do professionally? Something much different. I work with children with trauma. I work with people that are very damaged people who've had a lot of abuse. I see a lot of really sad stuff. We won't go into that tonight. I want to have fun. I don't want to talk shop.
No. We got a therapist on the show, and you want to have some fun. You just told a comedian that you know the problems of fictitious characters on a show. That is absolutely hilarious. I don't think I've ever met anybody that said, I'm going to watch Goodfellas and tell you what's wrong with these people.
Come to my
when there's a
house.
word
Come to my
during
house.
that show, it's called cut back to one because they don't exist. Now, if you want to analyze the real characters that they may have been portraying, well, then those mobsters from God knows when.
No.
You mean them?
I guess, it doesn't make much difference to me if it is a character that was put together fictitiously or not. Because back to Livia in Sopranos, I cannot begin to tell you the work that Chase did to come up with a character that was so dead on borderline and narcissistic. Dead on. And so for a therapist to watch that show, they're very intrigued by a character like that. Very intrigued. And then they could educate others on, what is this horrible diagnosis. Everyone who knows that show and knows his mother, they're so disgusted by her. She's, it's all a big nothing. She is just deplorable. What happened to her to make her that way? And Sopranos, they get into that. What happened to this woman? What happened to Tony Soprano that he lives his life the way that he does? And so it is very intriguing for a therapist to watch her mafia films.
Well, there you go. There's a therapist who watches a show so intensely that she sees it through the eyes of a therapist rather than a regular person just pretty much enjoying the show.
Yeah.
All right, so have you ever seen me do stand-up comedy?
I did.
Where was I?
You were on my screen.
Oh, just on TV screen? You never saw me live in a
did
live
not.
performance? No. All right, so then you can't judge. You have to judge an actual live performance somewhere.
Yeah, if you want to do that, I will come out and I will
No,
take
you
take
go ahead and
some
knock
notes,
yourself
I'll
out.
do some analyzing. And
You analyze me, you got a lot of free time.
I
That's for
don't have
damn
that
sure.
kind of time on my hands, Mike.
I'm glad. Well, okay. So who else? So what? You got out of high school and you went to college?
I went, yes, for art, for music. I did some film. I worked as a director on a little show. But I just, the way I was raised, just old school Italian Catholic, you get up, you get married, you get a 9-to-5 job, you get a house. So that kind of set in. So I put all the art stuff aside and I got very serious. I went for a master's degree. I got married. Very happy, but I always kind of kept the art stuff behind me. Now I'm bringing it back. Okay, we're working on a show that, if you're interested, I'll tell you later where to find it. It's going to be called "What Do You Want From Me?" Okay, and so many people that you all know in your little Facebook communities, Italian Americans, are going to be coming in as clients to see me, the therapist, and they're going to be bringing in their life complaints and their questions about human behavior, and it's going to be very funny, and I hope you will all join in. So if you are interested in looking into that, just look me up at Deb Leoni on Facebook, and I'll be talking about it. What do you want from me?
She pretty much just closed the show. I'm glad you told everybody the ending of the show. Thanks. We'll be back next Tuesday night with a new show.
All right, can we eat?
No, we're not going to
Let's
eat. That's not the way the show goes.
I
Okay,
know it's not.
you're off the charts.
I got you, Mike. I'm teasing around here.
So you're going to come up with a show, and it's called "What Do You Want From
What do you
Me?"
want from me?
And people are going to expose their problems on a talk show
are.
with you.
And it's going to be funny because you can imagine what kind of questions people are going to come in with. I mean, you're a man. What kind of questions would you have?
Well, you told me
For a
before the
therapist.
show that most of the questions a therapist gets is sexually related.
And I also told you that we're not going to go there.
It's my show, and I go wherever I want. She wanted me to do a PG-13
I
show.
did.
I never had a rating of my show
I am
ever.
a clean
There's no
girl.
such thing as a rating on a podcast. So you can call it whatever you want. If I want to curse, I'm going to curse. This is my show. I do what I want. So when
I'm
you
a
do
lovely,
your show, you
conventional
can tell
woman.
people.
I have to watch what I say.
But as a therapist, if people are asking sexual questions,
true.
first of all, you can't really talk about anybody because you got that disclosure
Oh,
agreement
yeah.
that you're not going to talk about any
We're
specific
not going
person.
anywhere with my clients, of course not. But in general,
You're also figuring out people on a show that was written by somebody that didn't really exist, and now it's okay for you to figure out people on a talk show.
in general, okay, yes, a lot of people, that is the question that arises. If I'm at a party and people find out I'm a therapist, and this goes for all of my colleagues, we talk about it all the time, they're dying to ask you a question. And usually the question has something to do with the battle of the sexes. You know, how come he wants this and I want that? How come she always wants me to do it this way when really it should be done that way?
All right, so that's great.
It gets...
Do you dislike when somebody says, "You're a therapist? Oh my God, can I ask you this?" Does that make you mad?
Surprisingly, no. Everyone I know hates it. I like it.
Yes.
I find it very intriguing. I love human behavior. Every person's different. I learn from my clients. I want your questions. I want to know why you want to know that. Why do you want to know that? I like it.
I hate when people come up to me and say, "You're a comedian? Tell me a joke." That sets me on fire.
Yeah.
Because there's only a few businesses in the world where people ask those questions. You'll never say, "Oh, you're a carpenter? Can you build me a house?" That don't happen. "Oh, you serve gas at this gas station? Can I have some gas?" That don't happen. But you hear people go, "You're a doctor? I got a cut on my finger. Can you take a look at it?"
Yeah, they wanna
"You're a
take
therapist?
advantage.
Can
They
I
do.
tell you my fucking problems?"
Well, I think what I like is that I'm getting something out of it, and so I want those questions. Most therapists, yeah, it's just a job. They don't want to talk shop at a party. With me, if I hear a conversation, I'm just listening, and I say, "Now, wait a minute. Did you ever know? Did you try this medication? Or have you asked your therapist about this?" I mean, I would just jump right into the conversation. I love it. It is how could you not be dying to learn more about human behavior? Don't you want to know what makes you tick?
I know what makes me tick: good food and great sex and a bottle of beer, a couple of joints, and some live performing.
Sorry, Mom.
But
I know.
she...
I'm sorry, Mom.
You want me to talk to your mom for you?
No, God, no.
You sure she's even watching the show? I
Oh.
can let you know.
She probably is, but that's okay.
Mom, your daughter's analyzing fictitious characters that are on a TV show.
They're not fictitious. They're based on real people.
Oh. So is All in the Family.
Great show, by the way. Great show. Grew up with Dad watching All in the Family. By the way, just so everyone knows, I'm here because of my dad. I got into all of this because of Gerald Romani. Amazing man. Thanks, Dad. Love you.
Your dad.
Just had to put that in there.
What was the reason?
Well, just a really amazing, cool, kind of laid-back guy who loved his mafia films, but who was a wonderful, wonderful husband and father. And he just motivated me to get out there in the world and be who I am, but also combine some of the wise guy films into that. And so that's why I watch you, Mike Marino, because you're a wise guy kind of guy, right? You got the whole Italian.
I've never been in any wise guy movies.
Yeah.
I've never been in The Sopranos.
But you are
I'm
a
a
wise
full-blown
guy.
comedian, and I just happen to be from an Italian family, and we're in the basement.
That makes
The
you
thing
wise.
about me is I know who I am, and I don't have to go see a therapist to figure out who I am. When my mother was alive, if we had a problem in this world, we said, "Hey, Ma, I don't think that girl wants to go with me to the prom." My mother said, "No problem. Sit down and have something to eat," and the problem was solved. "Mom, I'm a little upset I didn't get this job. It's okay. Have something to eat. You're going to be fine." And that's the way she raised three boys who are actually doing really well in the world. And when I go to see somebody, I think I make them not want to be a therapist anymore because I'd like to throw my therapy right back at it.
I had that experience with you.
Bingo, I
It was
win.
Very uncomfortable.
See?
Very uncomfortable.
And she's telling me on my show we can't talk about sex. People who want to talk about
Say
sex,
We can't talk.
we could rewind the tape. We could go back, we could rewind. And these people are all watching right now. And don't forget, we don't want to talk about sex because your family's watching.
Now, come on, what am I, a sexologist over here?
I don't know.
I don't deal in sex.
I don't deal in
have
sex either.
I have
I'm a
some
comedian.
colleagues that I can bring in for you if that's going to make you feel good.
How does that have anything to do with our conversation? That you're bringing in colleagues.
You
We
like-
got colleagues too. They're called hookers. You
No,
said you wanted to keep this
my colleagues.
PG-13.
You like my colleagues.
Who's your colleague?
I got some wonderful friends and colleagues who would love to come in and talk sexuality for an hour with you and your guests.
I've had porn
And it's
stars
not
on
gonna
my
be
show.
paid.
Is that what you mean?
Oh, come on. Porn stars.
Well, you brought it up. You're the one who's
What do
talking
they
up.
know
I'm
about
taking the
human
ride with
sexuality?
you.
They-
What does a porn star know about sexual human? Motherfucker. I would think they know a lot about it. They do it in movies.
I'm sorry, Michael, but I am not going to entertain the subject of pornography. I am moving on.
All right, we're not going to talk about porn because the guest on tonight's show suggested not talk about it. But I didn't bring it up. She did, the therapist, because she doesn't want to talk about what she told me a lot of people talk about when they come to a session.
My fault. My bad. But here's,
Now, I don't know
here-
what their
okay, I'm going to say, okay, let's take it down a level from the sex, okay? The main complaint is, why doesn't he feel the way I do? Why doesn't she see it the way I see it? And I could help these people a lot just by telling them that a woman's brain is completely different from a man's brain. If you understood that,
Well, what does
you
that got to
wouldn't
do with
expect-
sex anyway? That's just a general
I thought I said
conversation.
we're not doing that.
No, but
We're
you
bringing
said
it
no,
down
no.
one.
Here, let me get my point out, therapist. Okay. You said, and this is what you said, because we could rewind this, and you said it before when you came down here. It was about sex. How about just general conversation? You said just now when a person says, "How come I don't get this from this person?"
Right.
Didn't say anything about sex. Could be anything, right?
But it's still along the lines of satisfaction in a relationship.
Okay,
What
satisfaction
keeps
or
them
sex?
Together.
Sexual
I think
satisfaction
it all
or just
goes along
conversation
together.
satisfaction?
Companionship, being together, feeling comfortable. You know, a lot of it is physical, but that's not necessarily getting down.
I should be a therapist. I should be a
You
therapist.
should be a lot of things, Mike.
Okay, so now it's not about sex, it's just about getting something else that you want to get from somebody. And you have the ability to tell people how they can either get what they want from that person by doing what?
Okay. Well, understanding that their brain was made quite differently than their partner. I'm going to show you, this is what any doctor is going to show you. Okay, this is a man, and this is a woman.
Who shows you that?
That is, in a nutshell, the difference between my brain and your brain, okay? So a man wants to come home and have his dinner and wants to have very little interaction and wants to go into the bedroom and then go to sleep. The woman has about 6,000 things that she wants to mention and talk, and she wants you to wine and dine her, and she wants you to tell her how much you love her. So if you don't get that, if you don't understand that God set us up differently, you're not going to have a good relationship. You're going to feel very hurt. You're going to think the person doesn't love you, and you're not going to last. So understanding the brain is very important in successful relationships. Write that down. Okay? This is something you want to remember.
Well, all right, everybody, you just learned something from the therapist on tonight's show, that men and women think completely different. A man comes home to the man cave, he wants to have some food, he wants to go to sleep, he's tired from working, and the woman is all over the place like this because she wants to talk, she's got a totally different brain, and I think that's wonderful that you shared that on the show.
It's important.
Now, if I could just rebuttal for a minute, I think
can
I read
rebuttal.
that when I was about 16 in a book called Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus or some shit like that.
Thank you.
But who didn't know that anyway? And we just used to just ask our friends, what do you think she meant when she said this? Oh, she meant that. Okay, good. And then you move on. But in today's society, you can go sit down to a therapist and figure that out, and that's what you're going to hear. Now, let's suppose a couple's going through that problem,
Okay.
and the woman wants a little bit more than the guy just coming home having his meatloaf and going to bed.
You got it.
What does she do to get that?
Okay. So she needs to sit with her husband and say, first she has to praise him and let him know that she does appreciate all that he does for her. Okay?
Little
And at
praising.
home and taking care of the kids and that sort of thing. And then she needs to say, look, while I do appreciate that, there are certain needs that I have because my brain is different than yours. And I'm hoping you'll want to listen to me and help me work on this. Now, that's the right approach, okay? That's not the approach people use. The approach is, every freaking time you come in and you don't listen to me and I have had it. That is the typical approach. And do you think it gets worked out? No. That's why there's a lot of divorce. People need to learn how to stay calm and talk to each other kindly. So a good therapist is going to teach them that and possibly save their marriage. So, it is good there are therapists in the world, Mike. I think that it's important that there are therapists.
I think it's very important that there are therapists in the world, and we hope that these therapists are really good at what they do, because if they're not, I have a funny feeling a therapist could really fuck somebody up pretty good.
You're right. They can. And don't forget, therapists are people. And I have met some therapists that, my God, should not be therapists. We won't get into it. But, people are people. You can get a master's degree in psychology, pass your board examination, and be licensed to take on clients when you should not even be around people, let alone giving people therapy. So you got to look out for that. Look out for that.
So, and when you were going to school for therapy, this is what they taught you?
Oh, you have to do a lot of research, a lot of writing, a lot of reading. You don't really get a lot of that, you're sitting with the client, what do you say back and forth? That comes in experience when you get out in the field and you work under a supervisor and they oversee everything you do for 3 years, and then you can get your license. It's a long process. 4 years for your master's degree, 3 years working under a supervisor, and then you get licensed. It's a lot, but it's worth it. Hey, you get to help people. You get to help people.
Well, here's a situation. Let me know what you would do as a therapist, all right?
Okay.
So a guy finds a bunch of notes that his significant other wrote, let's say love letters to somebody else,
Okay.
and he found them.
Okay.
And he brought it to her attention and said, hey, you've been looking to this guy, you've been cheating on me as far as what these notes say,
Right.
can you explain yourself? And then the girl says,
Right.
I can't believe you broke into
You
my
read
shit
my
and you
thing."
read my thing. You're the asshole for breaking in and reading my shit. He says, no, you're the asshole because you cheated on me. Now, what would you say to either one?
Wow. Well, it sounds like she was very defensive to call him the asshole, and that makes me feel like she's covering something up. If that happened, if you care about your husband and he's distraught because of something he found, I would think the right response is, honey, are you okay? I'm sorry. Yes. Okay, let's sit down and talk about it. So for her to say, you're the asshole, that tells me she's hiding something. Remind me, what was the other part?
He broke into her stuff to
Okay.
take a look at it.
Okay. I mean, it's not the right thing to do, but Is he thinking maybe she's cheating and he's searching, he's looking around? You know, with these issues, Mike, it keeps coming back to the same answer, which is we need to sit and look at each other in our eyes and be honest. How I feel about you, you feel about me. Let's spend quality time together and make this work. Because if you're not doing that, somebody is going to possibly be out there doing things they shouldn't do. If, let's say that this girl is having an affair, well, then there's problems in their marriage that could probably be fixed if they put the time into it, right? How much time are they spending together? Do they laugh together? Do they go to the movies? Do they... You need...
Well, these are
marriage
all
needs
background
maintenance.
checks on an assumption of something that happened.
Are we talking about your life here?
No, it's not my life.
Okay.
My life is quiet. If in my life I found notes like that, there would be no therapy. There would be no, let's sit down and talk about this. This would be like, you're busted. I caught you. Get the fuck out of my house. And that's that. Especially when they backtrack and backpedal and become defensive because they got caught. They got caught.
I have to interrupt. Okay?
Of course, you're a therapist.
There's
Go
a
ahead.
very good chance that she didn't cheat and that she was just unhappy. So by you being that rigid and kicking her out, you may have lost the love of your life. You may have been wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that happened to you, Mike.
No, it didn't happen to me.
I'm only teasing.
You see how a therapist works? This has got to be about him. Now, I'm trying to give you a sample of something on a talk show that we're
know.
trying to keep PG-13 so your mom can watch.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you right now, when people do devious things to each other, there's nobody really needs to go see anybody for anything. You got caught, you're busted. You go see a lawyer and you get your shit back.
If you got caught doing something that was wrong rather than just writing down expressing feelings. But you're right, you can only tolerate so much. If that threatened you that much and you felt like you should leave, then you should leave. That was more than...
Not me.
That was
It was a
more
hypothetical
than
thing.
That person, that was too much for that person. It wasn't going to work for them anymore. They needed a fresh start. And so they did what they had to do.
Didn't anybody ever come to you and say something about what's going on in their life and you looked them flat out and said, you know what, you don't need help, just get out of that relationship. Boom.
When there's abuse.
Oh, all right. Yes. Okay, so
When
then that
there's
brings us
abuse,
to a
yes.
good topic. Not a great topic,
Yeah.
but a good topic. Listen to this one. Hypothetical. Girl says, I'm getting out of this relationship. Although he's a millionaire, I have to walk away because he's abusive. So I said, what kind of abuse? Like verbal? She said, no, he pulled my hair and he pushed me. And I go, but he's a millionaire. And I said, maybe you should stick it out. I was being sarcastic.
I was going to say...
Because somebody had to mention what the man was worth. Not just the person,
Right.
the value of the
value.
purse. He's a millionaire.
That shouldn't even be...
And I said, what caused the argument? She said, I was just telling him about the guy I used to date before him was a billionaire. And I'm like, do you think maybe any of these guys had reason to be angry?
And do you think you might have a problem that the men you're going for just happen to be millionaires and billionaires?
That's when I
Are you
said,
really looking for love, or are you looking to be taken care of? for the
that's when
rest
I
of
put
your
in my 2 cents and said,
So you were right, Mike.
you need to get stepping.
You should be a therapist.
I can be a therapist.
You
We'll be
can.
right back after this commercial
I
break.
can give you the information for the university.
I don't
get you
need
a
to go to school.
supervisor.
I've lived a long life. I can tell you what's going on in your world. And I'm not going to watch a TV show and analyze the characters. That's just not what I do.
Well, that's because you're the comedian. I'm the therapist.
When did you want to become an actress?
Actress?
Mm-hmm.
I never necessarily wanted to become an actress. Painting, art, film. I did a little bit of acting, but I can't say that I necessarily see myself as an actress as much as like a writer, putting something together that's really funny and then having me and other people play it out. I did take some classes with Vincent Curatola, and AKA Johnny Sachs from The Sopranos. He's amazing, by the way. And I learned a lot from him. And yeah, I enjoy acting, but I'm not a person who's thinking, oh, I want to be in movies and I want to be famous. I'm the opposite of that, okay? I just want to have fun with it. That's all.
Yep. There's a lot of people out there who like to have fun with showbiz, especially when
Yes.
they're around people who are in show business, who are very serious about what they did or do. We love Deb's take on characters in our life. All right. Well, why don't we go for some questions right now?
Okay.
But I just want a good cigar. All right. We're going to get some questions for Deb right now from our audience. But before we do that, why don't we see if we can get ourselves some food?
You said you have.
Oh, here's one quick question before we go into the food. Deb, can you tell us what gaslighting is?
I don't like to talk about gaslighting because gaslighting is something that happens with family therapy. I am not a family therapist, and I feel every time I try to explain that concept, I do not do well with it. So I just stay away from it.
But what is it?
A relationship therapist, I am not.
Oh, so you're not
I
a
think-
relationship therapist?
No.
What kind of therapist?
No, I'm an individual therapist. I
Oh.
will help you with your stuff as it pertains to your relationship, but I am not going to sit and say, well, you're doing this to him and he's doing this to you. I need you to both look at each other. That's a marriage and family counselor.
Well, I don't know
And
what the
my own way of doing things.
gaslighting word is, but someone wrote in and asked that
Well,
question.
look it up.
Oh, so I should look
I want
up
you
what
to look it up. I want to hear the exact
Debbie doesn't want to
definition.
answer the question
I want
for
to hear
some
the
reason or other.
definition.
All right. We're going to have some food. We're going to take in some questions. The first question got dodged. I don't know what it is. My therapist acts like they care. Well, I think Debbie does
They do care. Believe
Deb,
me.
what was it like working with the great James Gandolfini? You work with Gandolfini?
Hell no.
She hasn't
I
worked
sure
with
do
James
wish I
Gandolfini.
did.
Gaslighting is a universal term. Deb, what's it like being a star sitting with a stunad? Answer the question.
Okay.
Mark, we're going to block you from the show
I
from now on.
can't say
Thank
that
you very
I've ever
much.
been a star. Thank you for saying that. You know, there's a lot of stunads. Mike is just one of many. No, you're not a stunad. You're not a stunad.
I don't know what a stunad is.
Just breaking balls.
She's just breaking balls.
Just breaking
A
balls.
therapist breaking balls,
Hey,
dodging the question.
I'm an
What's
Italian mob
gaslighting is?
movie fan. I'm going to break some balls, right?
She's a big fan of mob movies. She's a big fan of The Sopranos, a mob TV series.
Scarface trivia.
She loves
First
all
place.
that trivia. And as a therapist, she likes to figure out why the characters act that way.
You're really getting me here.
I'm not getting you. I'm projecting you onto the screen so they can get you.
Okay.
All right? So let's take in some questions for Debbie. You don't want to explain?
Mike, the chick.
Um,
Someone called me a ball buster.
Well, there's going to get a lot of call-ins. They're going to be up on the top of the screen, and we're going to take those questions right
Okay.
now.
I hope I
Massimo
didn't offend you.
Batista has an incredible wine that is going to be part of the show starting next Tuesday. Stay tuned. The wine is fantastic. He's a true Italian from Italy, and he's got a great clothing line. And, Deb, you've bumped into him many times with your friend Bruce Scotia, who's going to be at the Mob Movie Con.
Massimo. Oh, ma.
Here comes a good question for
Ah.
Debbie. I love this
Okay.
question. Here's a question for Debbie Leoni, the therapist. Debbie, why did Sammy the Bull rat?
Why does anybody rat? They can't take the pressure, right?
I think it's a legitimate, great question.
Let's have you answer that.
Had no
I
choice.
kind of feel like it's general. Just, you know, you're
No,
you're pushing-
come on now. You analyze these rock stars of the mob, and the rock star of the mob is Sammy the Bull Gravano, and they want to know, why do you think he turned?
I'm going to assume because he didn't want to. I hate to say this, Mom. Sorry. It's Dad's fault. Okay. He didn't want to get his balls crushed. He wanted
No.
to stay alive.
I guess that's going to make me a good therapist. He ratted because he didn't want to go to jail.
Well, I guess it's the same thing.
We all know one of my
You
favorite
want to stay
catering
alive. You want to
companies
stay happy.
is Hero Kings out in Nutley, New Jersey. And every once in a while, we're so blessed to have Johnny Salami, who owns Hero Kings,
Is that his
come
last
down
name?
to the basement and bring us some number 4 sandwiches. Will you look at this, ladies and gentlemen? He's done it again. Out of nowhere comes that famous hand of Johnny Salami's, bringing us 2 number 4 sandwiches and some
What is
turkey sandwiches, and also cheese tortellini with sun-dried tomatoes and a plastic fork. Oh, ooh, birch beer.
Oh,
What'd you get?
I'll save
White
that one
birch
for my
beer.
mother. She like, but is okay. As a therapist, I'm concerned.
As a therapist,
There's something okay with the name salami.
she's gonna
I'm
figure out why we
picturing
call him
this
Johnny Salami.
Pure young boy sitting, in a classroom at 2nd grade. I'm just hoping that was not, difficult for him if people saw him as, right? Okay. But anyway, the
Cheers.
food smells and looks delicious.
Put up your
I'm
drink
loving
here.
it. Okay.
Salud.
Salute.
We are so blessed to be sitting here today and having some wonderful sandwiches from one of my favorite places in the state of New Jersey, Hero Kings of Nutley, New Jersey. We make fun of, we jolly with, we have laughter with Johnny Roast Beef, who comes every Tuesday night, leaving one of his favorite places in the world, the Tiki Bar in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. A place where I'm going to be performing at on August 3rd, Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. We're going to do the podcast August 2nd. Prior to that, with my friend Captain Splash, who teaches kids how to swim.
Captain Splash.
Captain Splash. They're going to do a cartoon about her, teaching the kids how to swim.
It's a woman?
She's a woman, Captain Splash.
Okay, I got it.
She wants to figure out Captain Splash.
I want
I
to
tell you
figure
what, if
that
Captain
out.
Splash was here and you told her anything, you might not go home without going into a headlock. But one of our favorite places of all times, we love going there, we always go there, is Hero Kings of Nutley, New Jersey, the proud sponsor and food provider and caterer of Live from My Mother's Basement at www.theheroking.com. Don't forget to call Johnny Salami and break his balls. Call 973-661-3095 and tell him Mike Marino sent you. Janine says, wrap up the sandwich.
Oh, she wants me to bring it home to her. I
Home.
happen to know this woman.
How are you from New Jersey? You say home.
I'm not from New Jersey.
Oh, this is
I
so
was
good.
raised near South Philly.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Right?
There's the
I'm
Philadelphia
not from New
accent.
Jersey. I'm a South
Home.
Philly girl. My mother was born and raised right there. I got the accent.
Bite into a number 4.
Okay. I usually stick to salad, but
Or then have a little tortellini. You're a salad eater? An Italian girl going to a
My-
mob con?
my mother taught
Tortellini.
me that it all goes to the hips. Every time I look at a donut or a lasagna, it all
This is
goes
so
to your
damn
hips.
good.
And it does. It all does go to your hips.
This is going to my hips.
But you guys don't have hips, so you don't have to worry.
I feel like I'm the type of guy that if I went to therapy, I'd come out beating somebody up. I would beat the shit out of somebody.
And we would call 911 and
Yeah,
you go
well.
to jail
I guess.
for homicide ideation.
Home. This is actually the Godfather. This is a number 4. Gabagool, pressed
Gabagool.
ham, salami, cheese. This is the Godfather. Johnny, you're not here, but what's in the Godfather?
Prosciutto,
Prosciutto di Milone,
mozzarella,
mozzarella,
roasted pepper,
and roasted peppers.
balsamic vinegar.
And balsamic vinegar. God's talking to us.
Amazing.
All right, so we're taking in the questions while we're eating, okay? I'm going to grab some from Instagram. We'll grab some over here from Facebook. These questions are for Debbie Leoni, who is a psychotherapist, you called it? Psychotherapist. She will be at the Mob Movie Con at the end of this month. The dates are...
Okay, so you're going to have the Gotti
No. Just say the dates.
23rd.
Therapist likes to direct somebody
well,
else's
there's two
show.
different events here.
So we'll take in the questions.
23rd to 25th. 23rd to 25th. July, by the way. Okay. Oh, this show tonight is making me want to quit therapy. Did I do something wrong?
I don't know.
I must have offended someone. I thought that I was being rather
You are fantastic.
subtle.
She's great.
Right?
Here we go. Mike, how you been? It's Gigi. Why did you block me on Instagram? Man, I thought you liked me, and we were having a good time. We were. I never blocked you. Hey, Gigi, how you doing? Welcome back to the show. I never block anybody. I don't even touch this thing. Somebody else produces this show. This show is produced by Tatiana Blue Shell, who actually is in Los Angeles watching this show right now. So I don't know how that would happen. But Anthony Rena, how you doing? Nice to see you. I'm glad everybody's here. Let's take in some questions for our therapist who's controlling the show tonight. Her name is Debbie. You're the best therapist, somebody said. Do you get mad when clients stiff you for the copay?
I have to say that when you have a good rapport with your clients, it's rare, right? But you have to set it up to where you're very clear in the beginning. You know, I need to put food on my table, and you make that clear in the beginning. If you're not paying me, we will have to end. That's not an issue I ever really struggled with.
Well, most therapy picked up by insurance, or is it?
Yes. The therapy that I do, I get all my referrals through the state of New Jersey. I don't have people come to me on their own. I used to do outpatient therapy, but I seem to enjoy the referrals through the state when you have children and families that are really profoundly struggling and they need you to get in there right away. Those are very rewarding cases for me. It can really make a life change for the family.
Here's a question. Why is Deb part of MobCon? What show
Okay.
is she on?
All right, so I am fortunate and blessed enough to have befriended Michael Mata and his amazing crew. And as they, I had met them at Sopranos Con 2 years ago, I was intrigued. They were kind enough to allow me into their circle. To some extent, I don't work for them, but they let me volunteer. And through the last 2 years, our relationship became closer. And so I have the privilege of helping them for this 3-day expo, this con. I will be around Paulie Servino and Richie Aprile and all of our favorite people. I get to help out. I get to help people to their seats. I get to check on their drinks. Mr. Servino, can I get you another rum and coke? That's what I'm going to be doing. And I am just so grateful to Mr. Mata. Mr. Mata has really impacted my life positively. He's a go-getter. If you don't know Mike Mata, please look up Virtual Cons. Go on the Virtual Con site. Buy your tickets now. You're not going to get a ticket to Mob Movie Con unless you get it now.
Yeah, Mob Movie Con is a great thing. It's also part of Virtual Cons, Sopranos Cons. You guys will enjoy this. They are wonderful people. Here comes a serious question for Debbie. Susan Perfetto says, 3 of my siblings passed away in the last 3 years. I'm having a hard time with the grieving process. Any suggestions?
So that is something that you absolutely need someone to support you with. A lot of times people feel like I should be able to deal with this on my own. No, you don't lose 3 siblings that you're close to and just pull up your bootstraps and get back to life. That's very unhealthy. You want to find a good therapist, and I guess it's a good time in the show to tell people how they could do that, right?
Sure.
What you want to do is you want to go on a site called Psychology Today. Just type it on, Google it, Psychology Today. You'll have a giant screen pop up. You're going to look through all the therapists in your area. You could read their bios, how many years experience they have, what they specialize in, and you're going to find somebody that you feel comfortable with. You'll call them, interview a few of them, and then you have your therapist. But please, don't go that alone. I mean, there are people who curl up and die when they lose a loved one, let alone 3. So my advice to you is to find a counselor.
Sorry to hear about your loss. I lost my mother about 8 years ago, and what I do for my own therapy, because I actually just don't participate in going to see anybody. I have a lot of my mother's memorabilia around the house. Case in point, the basements.
I see that.
So I enjoyed talking to my mother every day. And I said, Ma, you won't believe what I'm going to do. Ma, you won't believe what this person said. Ma, you won't believe how the food tastes like shit because you ain't around. And she appreciates that. And then I hang around with my father. And then I call my mother and say, Ma, you won't believe the shit Daddy's doing. You need to come back and smack this guy. That's the way we do with that.
It's great because that's therapeutic for you, and that's the thing. Sometimes you can find things that are therapeutic that work for you. It sounds like that's working great for you. You don't need therapy.
I also
For
talk
that.
about my mom on stage.
Oh,
And it's fun. Right now we're getting a letter from Massimo Battista, and he's
Oh,
saying you're a
Massimo.
MobCon groupie.
Groupie, come on. Although I have to say,
I'd put her in the MobCon groupie. I'd put her in the con groupie. She's a groupie.
But-
she loves the mobster stuff because she's
I
going to
do.
figure it out.
I do, but I'm not one of the girls in the little tiny dress saying, "Oh, Polly." You know, I'm sitting there interviewing somebody, and we're having an intelligent conversation. But speaking of groupies, I've been a metalhead since I was 10 years old, and so being around the metal bands and traveling here and there, the word groupie comes up a lot. Hey,
A therapist
It's
that's a
fun.
groupie. It's unheard of. Maybe if you go see her for some therapy, she'll follow you around and be a groupie for you.
I'm pretty busy these days.
She's very busy. She took time out of her busy
Very
day
busy.
to come all the way to New Jersey from Philadelphia.
No.
I know you are a therapist, says Susan. What is your take on cholera and all the major skin diseases? What's cholera?
Oh, okay. Okay, so there's a Woody Allen film called Bananas that came out in 1969, and there's a very funny line in that film. And I believe that this person is quoting a Woody Allen line, which is interesting because I'm a huge Woody Allen fan. So thank you. I'm impressed because very few people still watch Woody Allen. Good job.
Good job. Here comes another one, but I think this is a statement. Dino Mezzone from Montreal, Canada.
Oh, wow.
Here's a question. Has Debbie ever fallen for or been attracted to one of her clients?
Oh, that's a good one.
And the answer is,
No, and I have a funny story.
uh-oh.
I talk with my colleagues at least once a month, and we talk about these things. And it seems like it's often that they have men come in and they think, ooh, this is uncomfortable, I'm feeling a sort of way. I have never worked with a father, because I work with children and families, not just a man alone, ever that I thought, ooh, never happened. And I'm lucky. I don't want that. I'm married.
Could you hand me that hat over there? On the cash register. No, right here. There you go. There you go. And this little box over here.
Ah, that's important. Butter bean coffee.
Ladies and gentlemen, we had a lot of fun down in the basement here tonight talking about therapy. Whether you believe in it or you don't believe in it, or if you want to meet with Debbie, she's going to tell you right now how you can get in touch with her and learn about her practice.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, while you can get in touch with me through Facebook and ask me questions, I wouldn't be able to work with you because I only take my referrals through the state of New Jersey with very needy, traumatized children and families. Again, Psychology Today. You're going to want to go into Psychology Today and you will get what you need. But please do visit Deb Leoni on Facebook because, like I said, I am creating a show that you will like. A lot of you are tied into the Italian American community on Facebook that have a lot of the same people that I have. Well, some of you, okay? There are people that you love that you will see walk into the office of this show. And it's just going to be really funny. So keep your eyes open for that. And
Keep your eyes peeled. It's going to be a fantastic show. It's going to be all about therapy and how you could walk in and be on her show and ask her questions on her show. If you want to come down to Atlantic City on July 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, go on the internet and look up mobmovie.com and check out what the guys are doing down there. I got my hat over here that says Virtual Cons. You can check it all out. We've been talking about it for a long time. The guys from Bada Bean Coffee may or may not be down there. I don't know. But you know that I always talk about Bada Bean Coffee.
Bada
Go to
Bean.
Bada Bean Coffee. It's spelled www.badabeancoffee.com. Use promo code Marino, get yourself 15% off. If you want me for therapy, not a problem. You could call me. Call me. I will
Call
tell
me.
you how fucking nuts you
Call
are.
me up.
323-883-1607. I actually gave you my number. It's a service number, not stupid. 323-883-1607, and everything else is at MikeMarino.net. We got to get going. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Remember, let's make America Italian again. You don't know nothing, you don't see nothing, you don't say nothing. And how do I end every single one of my broadcasts by always saying the same thing? Don't take no shit from nobody.
That was pretty good. That was a little bit more energetic, fun-filled.
Hey folks, I hope you're enjoying watching my podcast live from my mother's basement. We're having a lot of fun, and I'm going to have a lot of great guests on the show in the future. So if you like it, hit like. You could also leave a comment. You could subscribe to my YouTube channel and watch other funny videos. And you could also listen to my podcast on your favorite podcast app like Spotify and iTunes.